I was in conversations with Bruce the Whipple in the last few days, and I told you last night, some of you, that there's somebody running around, some kid, some fucking moron kid is running around saying he's the Latter-day Saint, modern-day Dan Peña. And he happened to, as I told some of you, hook up, or not hook up in the modern sense, contact Bruce the Whipple. And hook up means fuck him, right? Isn't that what it means? Okay. And Bruce gave me some bullshit, not bullshit, but told him that he was a fucking idiot, more or less. And then he sent it to me, and then I contacted him and told him to cease and desist, or he'd figure out what rude really meant. And so, but in the conversations that I've had with some of the other people that have been here around, and like Marcus has been here a few times, and in the seminar since August of last year has taken a new bent. And the new bent is one of the reasons why the kid who's in the military was able to do what he did is, I've said sensitivity equals poverty for 25 years. But that means different things to every one of you. Everybody in here is basically a cunt, by my standards, by Steve Jobs standards, by Henry Ford standards, by Carnegie standards, Rockefeller, Elon the Musk. You all have vaginas, i.e., I give you vagina cream and that doesn't even embarrass you anymore. So in August, I decided, well, what can I do to turn the fucking thing around? And we're already massively successful. There's nobody even remotely close to what we produced. We meaning, the cumulative groups that have come through. And but I thought back to the 90s when a good portion of those guys and gals are from the 90s and the early 2000s. And what did I do different? We locked up their cell phones. They had no outside contact. I physically hit the people. Physically hit them with my fists. Slapped them. Like if the albino wasn't, I'd slap the glasses right off his albino head. And I taught them rough was good. Tough was good. It transcended sensitivity equals poverty. And and 3/4 of the guys and gals up there are from that era. No link fuck. No tweet fuck. No Google fuck. Shoe leather. And they were still doing deals in 120 days. Deals! So over the decades, even though I'm considered the roughest guy on the planet in doing this, I've eased off. And just as some of you that have done deals have eased off. And some of you that think that you've got 2 or 4 LOIs in letters of intent. Letters of intent don't mean a fucking thing. That really means letters of interest. Because almost all LOIs are non-binding. But your dick's 2 inches longer because you got LOIs. It doesn't mean shit. So in August, I started changing the format of the seminar. And instead of going through 1,800 of the 2,400 slides, we go through about 400 now. And mostly we use the webinars from successful people. As I said last night, even though I say the exact same thing they say, you feel more comfortable hearing them say it because you can relate to them better than you can relate to me, because nobody in this room can relate to me. So we changed, and the results have been spectacular. And i.e., and this soapbox speech I'm making is because we've changed the hardcore. Now, none of you have been to the hardcore, so you don't know how it's changed, but it's changed. we're going to go through the cases. When you make errors, I'm going to jump on you. When you make what I consider obvious errors, I'm going to jump on you. So it's like Pavlov's dog, so you fucking remember. Now, when I would rather use a cattle prod. I would. I would rather use, you know how when you they tase people, taser or whatever. That would have a more lasting impression on some of you meatheads. Now, Lord Olivier, you know, I should hit him with a cricket bat. Hit me again. We had a guy from the Austrian Special Forces in the 90s that got on his knees right here and he says, and I broke his jaw. He wanted to leave here with something that he could remember. Why am I looking at you, Olivier? So I gave him something to remember. I broke his fucking jaw. But you don't, because I have been not nice, because I don't give a shit if you all die. I'm just up money. You know, I don't give a fuck. You know, 20 less people for me to mentor. And because you're the last of the, ostensibly the last of the old-time mentor program, because I'll honor my commitment, but it's changed. And we're still going to break out in the same groups as we did the last seminar, last hardcore, but I'm going to not tolerate stupidity. Every one of your groups is headed by somebody ostensibly, if not educated and deal savvy. Okay? Educated meaning MBAs kind of thing, and deal savvy meaning that they've had a career of doing deals like Deb has. And then every group has some neophyte meathead with a 40 financial IQ. Not meaning IQ 40, but financial IQ, meaning that they don't know shit. And so, I don't say the one that doesn't know shit, that you'll figure that out just the first time you meet. When you meet, last night you saw Tesla, who's arguably, now he's getting more and more credit the more he's dead. I'm sure I'll get a lot of credit 100 years after I'm dead, the credit that I haven't gotten. And that's why, when I was in Washington last trip, through one of you mentees, I was awarded all my medals 50 years late. 50 years late that I should have gotten almost 50 years ago. Through they call it a clerical error. A clerical error. And because I had somebody in the Pentagon, because I've tried numerous times, and it's just like pissing in the wind. I mean, nothing ever happened. I'm sure if I had sued the government for my medals, I would have, but I couldn't bring myself to do that. So I finally got it. But the squeaky wheel gets the grease. The people that you're going to hear in the webinars, half of them will say, when I stopped being nice, I started doing deals. They use different words. The Dutchman says it best, the 7-foot Dutchman. When I stopped being nice and polite to people, I started closing deals. When I stopped listening to all their horse shit on the phone, I started finding real motivated sellers. When I realized that LOIs don't mean shit, it's deals. And then you'll hear, and then one of the guys you're going to hear today after lunch, who, this is 3 or 4 years old, but he came here the first time he came here was, I think he was 18 years old. He's now 24, 25. He came on the back of just making 34 million euros on the back. And then he gave an impassioned speech about he's proud now to be called Hitler. Proud. Now, what were you taught? Just the opposite. You don't want anybody calling you black. I call you Black Hitler, but I mean, you don't want anybody calling you Hitler, right? And the Holocaust and all that shit. And it's not shit. I don't mean it didn't happen or anything like that. Although there are people around that say it didn't happen. I don't know what planet they were born on. But, I mean, tough is good. And you may have forgotten when you saw all those movies in the regular seminar, what was the common takeaway from all? They were all assholes. Every fucking one of them was a prick. Have you forgotten? Steve Jobs, Ray Kroc. Changing the deals. Oh, a handshake's all right, as he told the McDonald brothers. What are those two guys born in? What are they born in Kansas or something? Or are they fucking, honest but tough. What about Tesla? What are some of the takeaways from Tesla?
He died poor.
Correct. Obsessed. Focused. No women in his life. Towards the end of his life, the last 4 or 5 years, he said it may have been a mistake and given up the fact that he never had any kids. By the way, the guy that did it in that short period of time that I sent all of you, no kids, no family, no brothers, no sisters, no parents, no nothing. He's got them, but he doesn't talk to them. Anything else about Tesla? Could any of you relate to Tesla as a human being? Please don't raise your hand. Okay, now, alpha male. What's the takeaway? Remember, I tell you to sit at the head of the table when you go into the meetings, right? All that shit works. Remember, I told you to put the window behind you. Just like gunfighters used to do in the street. They put the sun behind them. There's a reason for all these things that we do. And the alpha guys, they puff themselves up. Well, that's equivalent, you only have one time to, make a first impression, and the first impression is how you look. The second is how you speak and how you open your mouth. Takeaways from alpha.
Take more space.
They
take more space.
Size matters.
Thank you.
Also, white hair matters.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. White hair matters. So do wrinkles.
Voice, tone.
Pardon?
Voice, tone.
Tone? I may be wrong, but I'm never in doubt. All that shit works. And the guys that you're going to hear for the most part on, there's a couple exceptions, on the webinars, and we're going to listen to the hardcore last Zoom call of the last hardcore, where they did 19 deals through November. And we're not going to hear all of them, but we're going to hear 4 or 5 of them, right? Okay, 4 of them. And none of them are, one's a pretend alpha. He thinks he is. He wears, like some of you, suits that don't fit, showing off with your fucking puny arms and shit like that. But I mean, we got 1 pretend alpha and 3, whatever the opposite of alpha is. And you're going to hear them, and there's a common thread. And so now the change from August through the regular seminars and going into next year with the hardcore is that before I thought to show you the difference between this and this, you would intellectually understand that you should go to box A and not box B or box C. But you're not that smart. So we're not going to give you fucking box B and box C anymore. We're only going to give you fucking box A. Because what you do is you gravitate to your own comfort zone. Even though I say, this is the way to do it. Here. And these are 2 other, it's like, you block out, this is the way to do it, and you go right to which one of the cunts here is, am I more like? Cunt B or cunt C? And I'm selfish because I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this. I keep getting asked. Winnicott keeps getting asked, how much longer is he going to do it? I don't know. But not forever. Although I'm going to live forever, but I'm not going to do this forever. But so now we're not going to give you choice. This is the way. Because given free choice is wrong. You know, I told you last night, one of you guys wrote me and he says that I'm the Leonidas, the Genghis Khan, Attila the Hun, the Muhammad Ali of coaching. I've created millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions, tens of billions, and hundreds of billions. Yet why would you ever even listen to anybody else? Because you can relate to them as a human being, because he's a cunt and you're a cunt. He squats the P, so you squat, and you squat the P. So that's an easy match. It's an easy match. Now, where's the fucking thingamajig? Oh. All I have to do is hit it. I'm the creator of Teenage Multimillionaires from scratch. And the mentee that's the CEO of the largest deal in recorded history, the $500 billion deal, Neon, the city of the future. I created them both. Just like God with fucking clay, with these two fucking hands. I made them just like fucking God. Yet people still go to other people. Because you're all cunts. There's not one testicle amongst the entire YouTube following I have. That's pretty dogmatic, isn't it? It's the fucking truth, though. Just like fucking God. Yet you still deviate. I read 4 or 5 emails today with guys trying to get deals closed. It's a good thing I don't have a weak heart. They deviated from the program. They thought they understood the bank's parameters. As they say in Scotland, they didn't. Because they didn't ask exactly, Mr. Banker, what are the lending parameters in bedpans 0 to 5 million revenue? And they came back, well, we like loan to value 70%. Well, how you can figure out what the fucking debt payments on that are, you're smarter than I am. They didn't say 3.5 times EBITDA to 5.5 times EBITDA. Why didn't they ask that question? Because they don't want the answer. Because they spent 11 months getting that far, and depending on the wrong answer, the deal died. And depending on the wrong answer, board members are going to resign. And instead of asking your board the questions, the preliminary due diligence questions, you try to figure it out yourself, or you try to get them answered in the weekly report. And what do I say in the weekly report? What did your fucking stupid board say? I ought to just have a stamp. You know how, rejected. What did your board say, cunt? What did your board say, cunt? And because you didn't ask the board, because, again, as I said last night, it's because you don't want them to know how inexperienced you are. What else about alpha? Yes.
Assertive. Take charge. You can act active until you make it.
Fake it? I don't like that terminology. Fake it until you make it.
Simulation.
Simulation. Good. Okay, YouTube. Talk to you later.